Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Megan, and on this channel I explore my curiosities, and this video is the fruit of that pursuit. So we have some fun little updates in the A6 realm of things. Of course, my Hobonichi system, kind of a dumping notebook. We've got a couple new acquisitions in the binder and cover realm, and then some really cool creative updates with the note card system that I've been using. You'll have seen it before in the binder, but now I've got this extra little bit. So we can start with this, and then I'll get into some of these other items a little bit later. I have recently added this kind of card protector on the back of my general notes dumping ground notebook, which then migrates into maybe to-dos for the day in my Hobonichi, and also just helps me keep track of goals. And now a little bit of context is that I have been diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and so I'm always trying to capture my attention, keep myself in the flow state when I need to be, and relaxing when I don't need to be, and not let other things conquer my attention. I just want to be cognizant of my attention, and then when I know that I don't have energy for things, just being kind of at peace with that. It's not about eternal optimization, but it is about when you do have the energy, putting it towards the things that you want to put it towards. It's been helpful for me to have a bird's eye view and this little note sheet on the back of my kind of burner notebook, so that I can always come back to this important list of things that I want to accomplish. I've done in this quarter for my business, which I sell motorcycle safety gear and leather goods online. This little card thing actually came from a fun little, scavenge that I had at my parents' house. So a little context for this is that I found this deck box that I used for trading cards. And honestly, that was the inspiration for this in the first place. And I had all these card protectors. I can show you real quick what some of these cards look like. So cute. I have a couple of copies of the ones that I thought were really beautiful. Let me think. I know, a couple copies of the Angel Woman. So a couple Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Digimon cards. So I kept the box and I brought this home with me. And then I had the realization that, of course, this card is the same size and that I could kind of mount it to the outside of this. All I used to do that is one of these, it's like a whiteout thing, but it drops down little dots of adhesive. And I just put one on each side, stuck it on there, and it's great. I don't think this will come off easily, but that's not the point. The point is that I can have this little window to put anything I want in. So I really dig that. That can even be put on the inside of a notebook for a little storage thing. So if you ever come across old sheet protector type things, that's a great way to repurpose them. And the plot has thickened with my 11 slot note cards. I do kind of want to do a designated video talking all about these and the motivation behind these and why it's helpful for maybe someone who gets a little too ambitious or gets all over the place with their priorities, with their I said ambition already, but yeah, I can get out of hand. My lists in here can go on forever and ever. And it's important to prioritize. I think that's a big challenge of people who are neurodivergent, is it can just be really challenging to prioritize. Intellectually, you might know what's a priority, but it's do you do the thing that takes less time, high reward, low effort, or the thing that's been looming for the longest, or the thing, it can be very challenging, or the thing that's urgent versus the thing that's important, or some things are both, or maybe you put off that important thing long enough that it became urgent. It's just it can be a mess with that kind of stuff. So these note cards that I made are designed to be limited, short line length, short number of slots, so that I can keep things really succinct, down to the important things, and they can even be ranked. I just got it in my head. This is another one of those things that was fun for me, but totally not important. I wanted to make basically nice packaging for it, because I was okay, imagine if I sold these. Wouldn't it be nice if I had something beautiful for them to go in? So I think this can fit about 30 cards, and I actually did maybe about 30 cards or 25 cards, and I even slid in my post-it notes that I use on my card sheet. Let me see, this is my pencil board thing. So I have that in here, and honestly, I forgot I did that. So this is really good I'm doing this because I'd be going crazy looking for that later. So yeah, I have a bunch of the additional note cards in here. And I do want to experiment with different types, and then even maybe having like a grid on the back as, you know, just some more flexibility. But obviously the blank back gives you a lot of versatility because you can use the front and back. So the cards fit really nicely into here. And I just wanted to show you that. So I designed this from scratch. I used like kind of an envelope reference image, and then I did all these different prototypes and adjustments, and it was pretty fun for me. I was doing this during the election, and it was like a really nice diversion. This was like a semi-final one. It's like a really tight fit, but I kind of like that. And then I cut these out on my Cricut machine. God, I'm not like explaining things well today, sorry. But I, you know, mocked it up on paper. I cut these myself until I had a close to final version. And then I drew it out in InDesign, and I brought it into Cricut and printed that. Now this one is done on like a cool, I think the camera's gonna like overexpose it and not quite get it, but it's this beautiful pearlescent paper, and I thought this would be really nice for like a gift. So Christmas gift, put inside here, make a bunch of cards, potentially custom cards, and go from there. So I'm on this card journey, and right now I'm just doing it for myself, but if I get feedback where people are interested in this, I will totally do that, because, you know, I'm already a small business owner, and I'd love to cater to stationery a little bit. And I was thinking about like, what's the overlap between all the stuff I do? Because it can seem slightly random from the outside looking in, but it's really all about just like intentional living, fine goods, you know, quality things, the joy of design. My background's in graphic design. I've just always been a designer, and I love good design. This has been really great because as I'm messing around with my system, I get put back into the priorities that before would have to be buried in here. And then I actually did tab this out with like, you know, the blue tab is shorthand to like the Christmas list. And then different ones are video ideas and business lists I want to come back to. But yeah, I was watching a Lindsay Scribbles video, and she was talking about how like your system is only as good as, I don't remember exactly how she said it, but basically like the repository and then the like making sense of the repository. So like the brain dump happens here, and then the daily to-do list happens here, or the monthly planning can happen here. And I thought that was pretty astute, because if you just dump things in here and never come back to this and try to make sense of it, you can lose track of important ideas and not like contextualize them enough for yourself, not like make ideas actions and make them a priority. So cool, we covered that. And small detour, I found other fun stuff at my parents' house, including this little game of Battleship. And in all honesty, I haven't like messed around with it very much, but I do know that it'll turn on and start. Oh, there it is. Isn't that funny? I don't know. I thought it was really sweet. Oh my gosh, that's loud. I don't know if I can change the volume on that, but just like a cute little nostalgic thing. Pretty chuffed to find it. And then I couldn't resist bringing this home to me. And this is what my Game Boy Color used to go in. And I have my Game Boy Color, but I can't play Pokemon at all anymore because of those batteries. And it's not so simple replacing the battery as you might think. There's like a little bit of soldering involved. So I'll do that one day, but I don't think I'll do that all that soon. And you can even see a repair here. My mom must have repaired this for me. And I have like so many little updates, but hopefully this is interesting to you. I got a freaking Nintendo Switch Lite, and tragically, it's too big for this. And I'm sure maybe if I got a regular Switch, these would have popped off, and I maybe could have put them in there. But you know, this is actually kind of cute because it like just about might fit one of these notebooks. I haven't like tried this out yet actually, but it could literally just be, look at that, a notebook purse, which is like kind of funny. I mean, I'm like a whole 31 years old going on 32 next year. These are the things that bring me joy. So I'm excited about my Nintendo Switch. I like resisted video game stuff for so long because I didn't want to sink time into something I could like objectively see as just for pleasure and for not like for work or any kind of, you know, optimized thing. I kind of like, I know how to relax, but when I relax, I like read, or I like try to do as little as possible, just low stimulation. And video games are like moderate to high stimulation, and they can be a little too fun. So I was scared of like sinking too much time into it. You know what? There's worse things in the world than like playing your Nintendo Switch for an hour. So anywho, if you're curious about my Nintendo Switch experiences, let me know. I've been playing, what's that game called? It's like Seas, something of Seas. I don't know. You're like these little celestial people. It's great. I really like it. I'm only about like an hour into it. Back on notebook stuff. 2 exciting recent acquisitions. Yeah, so I'll start with this because it's super intriguing. This is a vintage ring binder. I got this at a nearby antique shop and it just really spoke to me. Of course, it's in the dimensions of things that I really like, and it's also just like so beautiful. And it's this standard 6 ring, so I'll be able to replenish the paper and do things in it. But I moved these pages to the back, but it has other people's writings in it. And I found a date on one of them. Gotta see if I can find it again because I've been kind of reorganizing things. I found a date, 1942. So this is pretty old, and that's awesome. But these like journal entries in the back are super kind of foreboding and weird. And they're describing this thing like this, a day of sitting, and I started at 8:45 at night. I do, as you know, the first sitting, one can't affect much. And they're talking about this like, I'm like, what is this? Is this like a procedure? Or they mention a doctor and they're talking about their sittings. So I'm like, is this physical therapy? It sounds like a mental thing. A few lights and a good vibration around me. I felt something. So I don't know. I kind of want to like transcribe this so I can like read it easier. Like kind of spooky, kind of cool. But I've put that in the back. They did a little bit of like commonplacing with prayers and poems and stuff. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So they didn't use it as general sales data either. So I'm keeping the history alive with this slightly spooky book. It's got a bunch of blank, great pages. And the fact that these sides are inked kind of gave me an idea to do it myself. It's like if I buy additional pages to like ink the edges. Because sometimes you get to some pages and the ink has bled in a little bit. So it gives you the vibe that it might have been kind of done by hand, or, you know, they clamped it and inked the side. So I don't know. Love this. The just pages are beautiful. They smell old, not in a bad way. And my plan for this is to print out my poetry. I'll probably do like working poems in, okay, so I gotta jump around. So the kind of writing of poetry is happening in here, but as you might think, you know, I maybe wrote a poem on this side, there's something on this side, and as I'm reworking it, I need to put it somewhere else, and I don't want to keep flipping back and forth to reference a previous edition and copy it over. So the ability to pull out a sheet and transfer the poem is really appealing. So another reason I really want to do this way is I plan to print the existing poems that I've already typed up. I want to print them out on sheets this size that can fit in the binder, that I can punch holes for, or that I can find already hole punched. And then that'll help me sequence them, because one cumbersome thing about writing poetry, if you do want to publish it, is that sequencing things for like a chapbook or for a complete poetry book, like the sequence is the big last editing thing. I used to just print them out like half size, like 8.5 by 11, you know, 2 per page, and then just like rearrange them on my floor and stuff. But it'd be so nice to be able to like compile them in a little binder and have all the flexibility of being able to opening them up and rearrange them. So that's going to be the plan here. Oh yeah, here, see, you can tell some of the ink coming through to the other side. So that's what I'm doing with this vintage. It must be A6 slim or A6. These pages are like, this whole footprint is an A6. And I think the pages always end up being like A6 slim so that they fit inside. So yeah, pretty gorgeous little find. And I think this was like $4. So totally worth it to me. You know, there's little crusty bits. Might try to get that off. Don't know if I can, but I'm just like letting it live the way it is. So that's pretty cool. Now, a new product that I got from Etsy is right here, and I am so pleased about this. Okay, first off, you probably want to see the chunk factor of this because it looks like there's a lot of layers in here. And I've been messing around with like what's the right configuration of things, how should things be set. But there's 3 notebooks in here. How about that? 3 notebooks, and then I used the clip because I've been kind of like adjusting different layouts. First, I put in a single A6 notebook. Did I say A5 for this? Because I meant A6. Here I am again. First, I put in a single A6 notebook, and it looks good, but just like a little bit skinny. This can fit the Hobonichi unchunked super comfortably. This one is not brand new, but this is my one from 2024, but I put my new 2025 in here, and it looked really great. I think this binder, this cover that I got from Etsy, I don't know how to say the seller's name, but they're based in the Ukraine, and the quality is phenomenal. It's like brass hardware, gorgeous full grain leather, and this is the chestnut, and I'm excited to see it like patina and age with time. But it started out such a beautiful color, not too red, nice neutral, deep brown, but not quite, you know, on the cusp of chocolate, between chocolate and saddle. Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out in real time in what order this stuff is important. There it is again, the prioritizing. But the main thing I wanted this for was to house what I intend to be my new diary. And the diary is one of these Muji notebooks. I got the one that has like a subtle grid. So dominantly left to right is the gray lines, and really subtly up and down is a really fine grid. And I really dig that. It's a lot of versatility. Even though I literally in my journal or in my like personal thought reflections, I'm usually just writing lines. But you know, this gives me free space if I suddenly want to go rogue, if I want to do a little doodle. I want to keep encouraging myself to do that and not do dark lined notebook that will like absolutely discourage me from any doodles and creative things. I just thought that this looked a little like simple and unfinished on its own. It would have been fine, but because it's this craft paper, it is more susceptible to like grease and let me see, I'm trying to look around and see if I've got my notebook. It's just more susceptible to like grease and fingerprints and this and that, and some of it I've like concealed with putting things on top of it, but you know, it's just a little bit less premium for day to day. So I was like, oh duh, I don't have to get a leather bound notebook, or like those are expensive and a little hard to come by, and the moleskins have that kind of like imitation leather, or I don't even know exactly what it is, but I like the feel of real full grain leather. And so I was like, duh, people get a cover for a cheaper notebook that refills in here, and then I could take this out and kind of just like archive it. So that's the move, and I'm quite excited about this. And I like that this notebook isn't endless. It's not too long. It's a nice size, and I'm really excited to get into it, but I'm still finishing out. I'm going to finish out the year in my current journal. So yeah, I had put this all in by itself. It looked a little thin, and I was like, oh, what if I also put my creative writing notebook in here? And this is where, you know, poetry related things happen. This is where, if I do a workshop or something, I'm writing in here. This is, you know, fiction, and this is nonfiction, but they're both creative writing, arguably. So that's why these go together really nicely. And then I had the kind of idea to be like, oh, I could probably sneak in one more notebook. And this is my new Commonplace notebook. And I could do a quick little flip through for you. There's not a ton going on in here. I still have to transfer so many notes. But I got started with some notes from William Blake's The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. And I've got Stray Epictetus. And then this is from A Master's Secret Whispers. And I gotta just do this up a little more and continue doing that. And then I watched Dead Poet Society, and then pulled out my Whitman book because I was seeing if it had Oh Captain, My Captain, and it actually didn't have it. And I even like looked through my poetry anthologies and stuff, and none of them had it. Like the best loved poems of the American people. So I was kind of surprised. So, Oh Captain, My Captain was written in reverence for the Abraham Lincoln assassination. So it was like a pretty important piece of American history, but maybe it just didn't hit in terms of like poetical history. I don't even know how you decide which poems are important for people to study later. Usually they have to be in conversation with something historical or movements, or it's crazy stuff. But anyway, so I was reading my Whitman book, and the very last poem really spoke to me because it's just like so American and really like inspiring, and I know it's cool. So I thought it was just so timely because it's been November and just like things are changing. And yeah, I really dug this poem. So I just, because it would be a forever length of time to transcribe it, I printed it out and I made an InDesign template that is this amount of space. So I will be able to pretty straightforwardly print out future things if they're kind of long. And I'm not doing the pulley printer for this one. That's that thermal printer. A lot of people discouraged me from commonplacing or like anything I want to keep for years and years. They discourage using the thermal printers because the science of those is they're not putting ink on the paper, they're kind of burning the paper. And depending on the quality of it, they last for a shorter time or a longer time. But I found, this is another thing in my parents' house when I did a deep dive, is I found receipts from like 15 years ago that are still totally okay. Here, let me go grab them for you so I can show you. Okay, I know I'm on such a tangent, but that's what you're buckling up for. So I grabbed this to use to organize. This is just like something that existed from my like high school or grade school days. And I grabbed it to store like stickers and ephemera. Yeah, this one's from 2009. Big Easy Cajun at Mayfair Mall. And it's pretty damn clear. You know, I know everyone probably uses a different quality of thermal printer, but these are pretty old. 2008. I mean, this one looks mint. I don't know how old this one is. 2009, June 2nd, 2009. So I don't know, they might last longer than people think. I think it just depends on the quality of the thermal printer. And you can tell which ones you're working with. Some of them fade like a freaking week later. I don't know, all of these receipts are still totally legible. This one, I have the least amount of faith in. And you can just kind of tell when you receive it. But it still has it on there. You know, it just depends. So I wouldn't scare people away if they have been using a thermal printer. If it's convenient, like keep doing it, whatever. But for this, it was convenient enough because it was so many pages for me to just drop it on InDesign and print it on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. But if I'm just printing off a little something that's black and white and I just don't want to bother with all that, I'll probably still do the pulley printer. Commonplace notebook. I was like, hey, this is all the same size. What if I just like clip this in here? Because when it does stay in fine without being clipped, but once you open this, like it could fall out, and that's a bit of faffing around. So if you don't want it to be kind of cumbersome and fall right out, yeah, I just, and you can just close it up like that. And it works out great. This pen holder could lay flat back here if you had a thinner notebook, but it also can just like push to the side and nestle right in there, which is handy. And then first I was like, oh, is this gonna be annoying? Is this gonna get in the way of my writing? But it actually can kind of serve as a nice weight on the page and help you keep your place. So that's appealing. This, we'll see if that drives me nuts, what I need out of that. Oh, I actually made it lay flat perfectly, so problem solved. So I'm excited. This is my new kind of journaling or diary. I'm trying to use like the technically correct terms. Oh yeah, I did have this on the outside, but I don't want it to just like completely continue wearing away this. I had the clip like on the outside there. Yeah, I don't want to just murder the leather because over time taking it in and out will just go nuts. So just kind of slid it in like that. It has a little pocket here. Haven't quite figured out what I want to do with that yet. I wonder if now we're just messing around, y'all. Oh, will this fit? Might be a tight fit. I know when it's like fresh leather, you kind of have to break it in. So that might work in there, but otherwise might be able to just have like little feature guy. And it might stay just fine, just a little bit of shimmying. Wouldn't that be like kind of exciting? All right, how about that? That's quite cute. I could do like a longer version. Something about this dimension just works with like everything in life. That's pretty satisfying. I'm probably gonna leave that there. So yeah, I might like try to work this a little bit and break it in so it'll be easier to slide that in, but how about that? That's pretty nice. And I think there's no pocket on the back. So yeah, I thought this was really great, beautiful, and reasonably priced. And then they'll even, you can do customizations. You can do personalizations on it. That's the vibe. Those are the updates. I have so many things I've been doing lately that I want to catch you guys up on and chat about, but right now it's the holiday season and I need to be focused on moving units, prepping for next year. I've got like ocean freight shipments that I'm bringing in. I'm importing stuff from Europe, and then I'm working with I'm working with a company in Texas to develop new like motorcycle safety products. So life is endlessly interesting, and if you are super duper curious about all the other stuff I do, you should go ahead and follow my main channel, Megan Stark, and that's where I do the majority of the motorcycle and vlog related things. Yeah, lots of fun and interesting stuff. And here I am talking about notebooks. But thank you so much for watching. If you dig it, subscribe, and we'll just keep talking about these systems, and I'll update you on any like new ideas that I have and how things are working out. So till next time, see ya.